Hey, UMass fans, welcome to the next installment of the Flagship in Focus. I'm Alan Pandiani, Associate Athletic Director for External Operations here at the University of Massachusetts. And I'm thrilled today to be joined by two of our esteemed head coaches in our athletics program and two wonderful people that are joining us today from UMass Auxiliary Services, which, not a news flash for anybody watching this, I'm sure, but we are the #1 campus dining 4 years running now from the Princeton Review. So without further ado, we'll dive right into the conversation today. We'll range in topics from performance nutrition to the impact that the COVID-19 pandemic has had on our dining operations here on campus and our student athletes at home. And I want to give a little bit of an introduction to our folks that we have on here today. First and foremost, we have Coach Angela McMahon, the head coach of our women's lacrosse program. We have Jason Dowiak, the head coach of our women's soccer program. And I'm really excited today that we have Chef Anthony Zhang on, who has been with us here on campus since 1994 and is the executive chef for retail dining here on campus in Amherst. And then we have Sabrina Hafner, who's a registered dietitian for us here as well with UMass Auxiliary Services. So really excited to have everyone here today, and we'll kick things off today with a question for you, Sabrina. As health and wellness have really become a key piece of fabric in society, not just a trend, we know that these are going to be here for a long time now. Tell us a little bit about how your status as a licensed dietitian factors into, how we source food for our meals that we provide across campus under normal circumstances.
Yeah, sure. Well, so first of all, I'm really proud to work for an organization that serves healthy, delicious, and sustainable foods to our students and staff on a daily basis all over campus. And over the course of the past few years, we have transitioned more and more to a plant-forward dining program, meaning having our plants be the focus of our meal and having our animal-based products as a sidekick to our meal. So this allows us to be more sustainable as an organization while being creative when it comes to promoting health and flavor to any dish. So as a dietitian, I look at options that tailor to the growing preferences and health and wellness trends from our students, such as our growing rates of students who identify themselves as vegetarians, gluten-free, vegan. I'd like to understand these trends and particular foods that they enjoy, and pilot them in specials. I work closely with Chef Tony and Chef Bob, our other executive chef for residential dining. So for example, last semester we piloted a plant-forward special where we served plant-forward foods such as buffalo cauliflower, jackfruit tacos, just to name a few. And I was pleased to know that it was a huge hit with many of our students on campus. So trying to keep up with those wellness trends and make them healthy and delicious.
Awesome. That's great. I know I've really been enjoying the impossible stuff that you can get at the grocery store now. It's shocking how good it tastes, and I'm absolutely loving it. But moving along, Chef Tony, you've been with us here as part of campus since 1994. Tell us a little bit about how you've seen the appetites and the desires of the students shift, let's say even in the last 5 or 6 years, as, in the past it may have just been all about burgers and chicken tenders. And, now there are some unbelievable selections that our student population has available to them.
Oh, it's just incredible what has happened in the past, we'll call it 25 years in food. So when I was at UMass as a freshman in 1994, I mean, the thrill of going to the dining common was to get a chicken puck sandwich with ketchup. I mean, that was pretty much the bee's knees of, a good day in the dining common. And what's really incredible, what has happened is the education of our consumer and expectations just gone up exponentially. People want food that tastes good, that's fresh, that's healthy, and they want it now. And it's my privilege to be able to serve almost 40,000 meals on campus and to have those high expectations hopefully met each and every day. But definitely, I think it's our customers and their expectation is so much different than it was even 5 years ago with television shows or Google or just our consumers just wanting the best. And I know my director Ken Toon, he wants to give the best, so we try to do that every day.
I would love to see the reaction on somebody's face if you could go back to your dining common in 1994, Chef Tony, and tell them that, in 2020 you can get an acai bowl or a cold pressed juice or buffalo cauliflower, or walk around with an avocado as a hand fruit readily available on campus. But yeah, that's a great perspective. Coach McMahon, I'll throw it to you next. You bring in young women into your lacrosse program that come from a lot of different walks of life. And when you're bringing them to campus for the first time, how much of a factor is our on-campus dining, or how much does that play into your pitch when you're trying to land a recruit to join your program here in Amherst?
It's critical. I think just, getting them over there, getting them exposed, with our first piece of advice is always to do a full lap, whichever dining commons we're at. It's like, do a full lap. You don't want to fill up your plate too soon, because everything you see is going to make your mouth water. But then stressing just the health piece of things and wellness, and how so much of your athletic experience is also taking care of your body and self-care. And what better way to do that than at one of the healthiest, most tastiest dining halls there is in the country, right? So just the amount of options that there are, catering to all the different dietary habits of our students now, but also just the taste. You want things to taste good, and after practice, you don't want to think about what you're going to eat. You just want it there in front of you, and you want to consume it as fast as you can, because our student athletes are just always on the go, from morning until night. They're go. They're training, working really hard. They don't want to just eat the best. They want to be the best in everything that they do. So I think the nutritional side of things, now that can go along and work hand in hand with optimal performance, I think is just a game changer, and going and touring some of these other campuses where it isn't that way, I really do think gives us an edge.
That's awesome. Coach Dowiak, you're a performance addict, and I know you love having the catapult technology involved with your program and getting hard data and metrics and everything like that. Talk a little bit about how fueling and nutrition, talk about what you like to try to stress to the young women in your program from a performance nutrition standpoint.
We're always looking for competitive advantages, and like you said, we're kind of nerds, and we like numbers. We love looking into the research and getting the support from both auxiliary services and our performance department to understand the best ways to create some more separation from our opponents. And nutrition and sleep have become the two biggest hot topics in recent years. For us, we plan as much as we can. Like Ange said, their days are so organized and so packed with just incredible amounts of detail that we want to try to help limit the amount of things they have to think about when it comes to the sports side. And being able to show up and perform is really important. So having a really good plan and schedule for when they need to eat meals, the types of meals, the specificity, of what makes sense to eat prior to practice versus prior to a game. How we best start the recovery process following matches and training sessions is also a lot of data that we've dove into in the last 2 years. And we're blessed to have an incredible outlet in the food that is on our campus. and auxiliary services that is so willing to work with our department to ensure that we have the best quality items available for all of our student athletes.
That's great. And obviously, right now we're in the most ambiguous and uncertain of all uncertain times. Coach McMahon, what have been your thoughts or expressions to your players on your roster from a nutrition standpoint at home during this time away from your watchful eye under close supervision?
Well, I think it's just really starts with awareness, right? And being aware of how active you are or not. I think we were in season, right in the middle of our season when everyone was sent home, and to the level of the volume of which they were physically active to going home, it's impossible to replicate. So I think just understanding the changes that may go into your nutrition and your sleep and your lifestyle when you have a dramatic physical change. You're also not on campus walking from class to class as well. So I think it's really, just about choices. And, one of the best habits and tips that I ever read about and tried to implement for myself is, if it's not there, you're not going to eat it, right? So filling and stocking and buying for the type of lifestyle that you want to live in terms of your nutrition. So for us, one of the things I've actually, are the kids going out to the grocery store? Probably not. It's usually their parents for most of them. So I think it's really starting to open the lines of communication with the parents of, hey, this is the information that we give our kids during the year. Here's what we're looking for out of having a healthy, balanced nutrition. And, we kind of need your help here, parents, to continue to implement those habits at home. And I think a lot of times they find the information that we give them, that we've gotten from our nutritionist Molly Barnes, who's really helped us out a lot, is they love the information, and it helps the whole family make better choices. So that's something that we constantly are talking about. It's just, being active, being healthy, and how those things can also have a positive mental effect on you in your overall, outlook on, really challenging time right now where there's a lot of adversity. It's what can you control? There's only so many things you can control out there. And I think that your nutrition and exercise is definitely needs to be on the top of the list in terms of priority.
Absolutely. And then, Coach Doyak, I would throw it back to you in that same vein. You were able to complete your entire season back in the fall, but you got cut off right in the middle of what was your big build phase where, you can really push the throttle in terms of the conditioning or the strength work and the skill work. What is your dialogue to your roster of young women been like in this time around their nutrition specifically?
We've just tried to preach keeping a consistent routine. A lot of the similar things that Ange was talking about. In giving them as much information as we can to keep it consistent with things they would have heard had they been on campus. Best practices for how to shop. I think another thing we've encouraged our team to make it fun too with their families, and we did a team cook-off to see who would really get into it and encourage it to be something that was focused around obviously a healthy meal. Some were healthy, some weren't, but also doing something to reach out and give their families and their parents a break from that responsibility maybe as well for some of them or for a lot of them. And so we're trying to pair up good practices with fun and engaging ways to just engage our community too. We put it out on social media. If you follow us on social media, that was now about 6 weeks back. But I think it's also the more we try to remind them, the more it goes in one ear and out the other. And so we're not trying to over stimulate their minds too much with with too much information.
Gotcha.
I find it interesting too, because some of them are educating us. Some of our kids have their own food blogs and their own Instagram pages, and I want to share it with some of you guys. I'll pass it along, but the presentation and the things that they're making are just incredible, like handmade cauliflower crusted pizza, buffalo mozzarella pizza in their brick ovens in their backyards. I'm like, where do you guys come up with this? It's fascinating. And I think because they have this time right now with their families, they're trying to make cooking fun, and healthy. And, it's just been really impressive to see what they come up with it.
I know for me personally, I invested in a commercial grade infrared grill that runs on natural gas right at the top of this. And it's been awesome. Just, I did a pork shoulder on Saturday that I let marinate over a 48-hour period. And then I did a 12-hour smoke, and it was awesome. But, Chef Tony, my next question will be for you in terms of, we still do have a small population of students on campus right now. What has the dining experience looked like for students that are still on campus? And if we're not back in the fall under normal circumstances, or, obviously we all hope that we are, but what has life been like for the students that are still on campus from a retail dining standpoint? And what are some things that factor into your decision-making process for the fall, no matter what the circumstances are?
Yeah, it was really unfortunate how all of this happened so quickly. And for chefs, I mean, we don't cook for ourselves. We cook for other people. And so when we don't have our customers on campus, it really is saddening. I mean, one of the things that we've done is I've done some videos of recipes that we are pretty famous for. So whether it's a chicken burrito from Tamales, or some sushi or things like that, I've done how-to videos. So to try to kind of keep that connection between us and our customers at home. But unfortunately, following the guidelines by the governor, it doesn't really make for a great dining experience. However, the recipes are the same. The taste is the same. It's just, unfortunately, you have to take it to go. And obviously, we're following all the protocols of safety and sanitation to the letter to make sure that, number one, the food is safe. And then number two, that it tastes great. So hopefully these restrictions definitely lighten up heading into the fall. We're planning for the best case scenario, the middle scenario, and the worst scenario. And hopefully, as a chef, I want the best case scenario. I want things to go back to normal. I want to be able to cook. I want to have barbecues. I want sporting events and things like that. But if that's not the case, I know Garrett DiStefano, the director of dining, really has a good bead of what we can deliver in the fall with those three different scenarios, and definitely with concessions and all the games. I'm looking forward for them to come back as well, because it's such an integral part of student life. I mean, food's important, but also that camaraderie and the sports teams and football and basketball just really add a lot to the campus life here.
For sure. I know I was talking to some seniors that I know that are graduating from the McCormick Sport Management program in Eisenberg. And, a couple of them were getting emotional talking to me about how much they just miss going and getting their iced coffee at Roots in the morning, right, or going to Blue Wall and getting a burrito or a Mediterranean bowl or whatever it is, or going to Harvest and getting something to go on the run. I mean, I think I even saw a meme the other day. It's funny, at the end of each semester, there's always this big onslaught of people using the remainder of their dining dollars, pulling pallets of, different types of water or teas or power bars or whatever out of there. And it was like something I never thought I'd miss.
It's incredible. Like you wouldn't think that these people could carry cases and cases. Maybe they should work out. What those things. At the end of the semester instead of weights. But it's really incredible, and it's just a testament that our customers really want to get the most value from their meal plan compared to when I was there. I wouldn't have thought twice if I didn't use up all my swipes, but that's definitely not the case now. And it makes me happy that they're happy. So
that's great. Sabrina, I got an important question for you. And as a person who's interested in having robust of a health profile as possible myself, a lot that we see on news and television talks a lot about how much keeping up your immune system can play into this right now, whether it's exercising regularly, drinking enough water, getting enough sleep. But I think we all know that diet is such a huge component of that. What are some things that you would like our audience to know today in terms of maybe foods or even just general thought processes they can follow through to try to keep those immunity levels up?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I actually do get this question a lot. I've gotten a couple emails from students asking me about, nutrients that boost your immunity. And of course, there aren't any specific foods or nutrients that won't get you sick. But if you have an overall healthy immune system, that can help defeat the virus before you see the symptoms, if that makes any sense. So as a dietitian, I really promote a good balance of different macronutrients and, of course, eating the rainbow from fruits and vegetables and, of course, whole grains. But specifically, the nutrients that are immune boosters that I like to focus on are vitamin C, vitamin D, and zinc. So these are essentially immune system boosters that help our body form antibodies and ultimately fight infections, right? So some foods that are really high in vitamin C are fruits or vegetables like bell peppers. So especially the red ones are highest in vitamin C compared to the yellow, orange, and green. Cruciferous vegetables such as broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and let's not forget our citrus fruits such as oranges, grapefruit, kiwis, and strawberries, right? So, and also back to vitamin D, some foods that are high in vitamin D that I like to include in my diet are egg yolk. So, a lot of people think, egg yolk's super, fatty and it's not something that you should have, but it's actually really high in vitamin D and can actually boost your immunity compared to the egg whites. Swordfish, a lot of salmon, tuna, and then fortified foods such as, your fortified cereals, your fortified orange juice, milk, yogurts. Just be sure to look at the food labels and check out the vitamin D content. And then another way to actually get vitamin D that isn't from food is to just be outside under the sun. Our body can actually make vitamin D by just being simply outside. So, try to get outside more. The weather's getting a little bit warmer. And then moving to zinc, which is another immune booster. Foods high in zinc are foods like beef, chicken legs, tofu, lentils, hemp seeds, pine nuts, cashews, essentially a lot of the nuts and seeds and the meats. So those try to get into your diet and, definitely will help your immune system for sure.
Awesome. I know I just took a lot of notes.
Yeah.
In closing here, something that I want to ask this esteemed group are about some practices that we may have personally put into place to keep our health and wellness top of mind. And this may not have to do specifically with what we're eating. I'll say for me, something that I've done to try to cultivate a better mindset throughout all of this was something that I learned from a mentor of mine back sort of at the beginning of this. And what she talked to me about and something that I've been doing daily as a result is we're all under an unbelievable amount of stress. And I know for me as a, type A, high contact person that likes to be in front of people on a day-to-day basis, it was really tough for me getting adjusted to being so isolated and not being in a situation where I'm bumping people in the hallway and stuff. And something that she told me was anytime that you feel like you're up against it or it feels like there's a lot of weight on you or it's really a challenge, just audibly saying thank you, because the fact that we're conscious and able to take on the challenge, we're still in a great situation compared to where we could be, or people that may not have been able to make it out of this and unfortunately may have perished because of the pandemic. So I've just been trying to say thank you to every challenge that presents itself. And With that being said, Coach McMahon, I'll toss it to you for what you've done.
I think after that first week, I really tried to control what I could control and take control a little bit. I have 3 young kids under 8 years old. So we have a lot of kid food in the house. They're very picky eaters. And I would find myself in that first week or 2 snacking all day long on that kid food because it's like right there and in front of me. And I felt like I needed a reset. But the only way I felt like I could reset was if I knew what I was actually doing and putting into my body. So I actually started tracking my nutrients and intake on my MyFitnessPal so that I could get a hold of the macro and micros a little bit better. And then from there, once I felt like I got a good routine, it was just about being consistent, and trying not to vary from that. So I pretty much eat the same breakfast, the same lunch, and close to the same dinner every night. And that's been working for me because then I know exactly what I need to get at the grocery store and how much it's going to cost and how much, my vitamin C and zinc and protein and everything that I'm getting in. So just really trying to be consistent and controlling the controllables.
Awesome. Coach Dowiak, I know you've been doing some great yoga practice throughout this, but what have you been doing to try to keep your wellness in any facet up at peak levels through this?
Yeah, I've just tried to practice what we preach with our team, and the routine is the most important thing. So I've been trying to wake up every morning at a consistent time, usually around like 7 a.m., try to get some sort of activity in, whether it's yoga or a walk or there's a billion trails. I didn't realize how many trails there were in Western Mass. Oh my gosh, the pandemic's been great for me because I'm outside a ton now. But just keeping a really consistent routine and trying to like Coach Ange said, just trying to be consistent with what I'm eating, how I'm the times of day that I'm eating, and not over snacking in the down times, and then getting to bed at a very reasonable hour. I think my routine has gotten so much better in the last 6 weeks than it was prior to. And I think it's a great learning opportunity for everyone to, if you're developing some better practices, to be able to take that forward with you and gain something from this experience and not allow it to own us in a negative way going forward.
For sure. Sabrina, how about you? How have you been keeping things up throughout all this?
Well, repeating what was kind of mentioned before, but I really tried to stay in a routine by, waking up like what Coach Dowiak was saying at the same time every day, 7:30, and then trying to stay, as hydrated as much as possible. I always have water right next to me wherever I go, making sure that I sit down with my meals and making sure that the meals are nutrient dense. So getting away from my desk too and not trying to build a habit by eating and working at the same time. Just because I think, your mental health is just as important as your physical health. And as well as, staying physically active every day. I think that was mentioned before. Try to stay physically active by either working before or after work, or even just taking a walk in the middle of the day, getting some vitamin D and stepping outside.
Awesome. Yeah, I know at the time we're recording this, we're looking at getting 5 or 6 inches of snow on Saturday. So that's going to be interesting. But beyond that, we've had some beautiful days recently. Chef Tony, how about yourself?
I was thinking about this earlier. Tomorrow would have been commencement, and I would be working probably 16-hour days right now with my catering team and everybody else. So the very fact that I'm not doing that, I guess just by default, I'm a little bit healthier. But definitely, I mean, chefs are like the worst eaters by far, and it's not because we overeat, but I mean, we just pretty much snack, during these long days and whatever happens to be there. However, with this downtime, I'm really paying attention to what I'm eating, and that's definitely, as Sabrina put it, the rainbow of colors. The more variety you have in colors, the more nutrients you're going to get. So one of the very few times in my life right now I can eat a better diet than I ever have before. So thank you, pandemic, for making me a healthy eater.
That's all. I know for me, I've never been able to be in this type of routine before where I can go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time every day. And I know my sleep is the best it's been probably since I was in college, just because of that, because, you know, you read all these things about sleep science all the time, but rarely do we put them into practice, but we're finally able to live it. But, well, I really want to thank all of you for taking the time today. I thought this was a wonderful conversation. We will make sure that we link to where people can catch up with you and find you after this. But to my guests that joined us today, thank you so much. And to UMass fans everywhere, we'll see you again very soon, and stay safe out there.